small bits and pieces here and there to kind of give people more of an idea as how various aspects work. Mostly just cleaning up wording. That was a pretty big idea of it. It's kind of just making things a little bit better. Most of the big one was environmental hazards, where I split things up between minor and severe damage. Minor damage is like things you walk off from. Oh no, I have fallen down and I am hurt. You just take a hindrance on all your checks, but it's only like 2 or 3 scenes. It's actually very quick that you'll stop worrying about it, really. Severe damage is actual wounds being applied to whatever limb is the most appropriate, or all limbs at once. That's usually it is. The example I use is we have to leap out of a window. If you succeed the check, you land pretty good, you only receive minor damage, which is to say, hey, you hit your leg, you hit the ground pretty hard, but you're okay. But if you land and you fail, you are going to take a severe wound to your leg, which is going to make future checks harder because you've taken a wound. That's really the only thing. I also added this section, which I felt was fakely important, which was like, yeah, what happens when someone dies mid-mission? What do? This is what, like, one big thing is, the new operator begins with 2 less advancements than the average number of advancements among the operators in the current roster. This is to pretty much just prevent people cycling out people, which should be fine. That's my goal anyways. Like, yes, this is fine. However, it kind of depends on the campaign. How much are you suffering with combo? Alright, so this is where made some wording here better. I broke this section down quite a bit more. The big thing is I over explained some of the phase systems, which was, how the surge phase works, then explaining what the predator and horde phase was, and then explained what the tango phase was, which was originally the active combatants phase, but it's now the tango phase. We have the basic order of operations, kind of how action surge works, which works on paper. I sent it over to a group of people in another server, and they said it sounds okay, if a little bit wonky, if a little bit verbose, but it should be okay. Hopefully the example here kind of does it. I had Ymir kind of only for 1 major action instead of 2, to kind of be like, you don't have to spend everything on an action if you don't want. And I did put, ambush rules in. Ambush rules I took directly from Dawnline, which is just mean you get a flat bonus to your surge. If you break in, you get a flat bonus to your surge value, so it's going to be, for example, for the operators, they're going to be rolling 1d12 plus 7. Which is their roll. I rolled a 4 even, and that's 11 already. I could do 2 actions and still have a good surge value, or just do like 1 action and immediately be able to do something. Kind of the idea, what I wanted to get across here is that your surge is so important, and you only really need to roll a d12 for it. That brings us to, if you want to do like a larger encounter, or just you want to make things easier, the main thing is they're just going to get like 1 or 2 major actions based on whatever their CCR is, which is usually going to be 1 or 2. And their surge is just going to be their CCR value, which means probably maybe like a couple of them are going to be operating at the same time. That's fine, because usually what's going to happen is that the operators are going to be acting first, or they're going to be acting a lot more, so they can take out like 2-3 guys at once. This brings us to battlefield awareness. Yes, battlefield awareness. So, I agonized over this. Now, from last time, this was the gap. This was the wall. I sat there for a solid hour staring at this, trying to fix it. I'm going to give you all a very brief rundown of what it was like. Okay, is everybody ready? Okay, close your eyes real fast. Okay. That was pretty much it. That was my experience trying to fix this system and trying to make it actually come together in any remote capacity. Was just screaming and pain and suffering. But I took a step back, had a shower, thought about it some more, watched Siege clips, watched Ready or Not clips, watched a bunch of things to kind of get a best feel for it. And I decided on breaking it down to the 3 different battlefields, you could say. The first one is long-range engagement. Modern military engagements, I focus on taking out enemy combatants from extreme range and heavy firepower. While operators are traditionally more involved in close-quarter fighting, engaging enemies in distance is always a factor. Which is literally to say, for long-range combat, you don't even factor it in. Actually, what I should do is all target numbers to hit. It is increased by +3, which is to kind of be like, you're not like going to be hitting people at this range, but this is like long range, which is probably about over 50 meters. Actually, I should do 50 meters, or 50 meters is about, let's do 50 meters to feet. That's about 160. Yeah, it's kind of farther beyond what you normally think, because again, that's what the vast majority of combat actually is in the modern era. It's, I'm sitting on a hill over here, you're sitting on a hill over there, and we're shooting at each other's vague area to keep each other pinned down. Actual short-range engagements suck. Nobody likes fighting those. All my homies hate fighting close range. That's the most fun, however, that's not the most efficient. That's actually not what majority of, like, combat is done. Because it sucks. It's, you know, it's like, let's get in the Humvee and light up a hill, because lighting up that hill will make sure the most people survive, the most bad people die. Understandable, makes sense. There's no map for this. There's nothing here. It's literally just, they're a ways away, you are shooting them with a gun that can do such. Your handgun isn't going to hit someone 200 meters away. Your rifle's going to be able to do that, but it's not really, it's one of those things like, yeah, I have I have a fucking M4. Yeah, no shit, it's going to be able to hit, that's going to effective range, but that's not really fun. It kind of leads to CQC. Close quarters combat can be assigned for quick and dirty scenarios. With confined space and that a map is unnecessary. Melee is often common and with violent exchange of blows. The idea behind CQC is things are so close or happening so quickly that putting it on a tactical map is not necessary. This is me, you in a room, and we charge at each other. We start bopping each other. That's the Chris fight on the roof. It's happening so quickly that it's not really worth even bothering having a map at that point. It's more about the action, the drama, what's going on. We can clearly state what's happening here. However, the most common one is going to be tactical. Tactical combat is the ideal distance for precise movements and aggressive maneuvers that the operators prefer. So, taking place on a series of hexes, the operators are tasked with maneuvering, pinning, and dealing with tangos in close-range firefight. Each hex is about 5 feet, 1.5 meters. Meters across, allowing the operator, tango, or bioweapon to maneuver inside of them. Yes. Basic idea behind tactical combat is that you have a grid and you can maneuver around the grid. Why did I decide to do this? Very simply, because it's easy. If I wanted it to, like, for a good while, mind you, for a very good, while. For a good chunk of time, it was actually gridless, and it was just you moving pieces around. However, fun fact, I did not want to bring out I did not want to put in a rule being like, please bring out the ruler. Please bring out the measuring device at this point, mostly because the commissioner kind of implied that he was doing things mostly on VTTs like Roll20. things get messy. Hexes, and it can be converted to squares very easily. I just like hexes because hexagons are bestagons. And the main idea here is you have a lot of maneuverability, and movement. If you want to enter something dangerous, you're going to have to spend a little bit more of your movement points. But generally speaking, it's a very precise method. There's a map, you move along the map. That's really it. Don't think getting it any more I think this is the best situation for what could occur. And I even put like here's a design note. Why was, this put in here? There were a lot of ideas, a lot of concepts, and none of them really worked to just do it as simple as possible. Honest to God, there's really no better way of doing it. Which is the unfortunate part, and the big thing is I'm not really going to put, I'm not going to put, distances on this. Any gun's going to be able to hit anybody in tactical mode. Am I going to be saying that it's... Alright, what are we doing tonight? This is Zombie Dark 30. We're working on combat tonight. Hence the name is Violence is My Nature. And... one of the things is, if I have an M4, I'm going to be able to hit you. If I have a handgun at this kind of range, I'm going to be able to hit you pretty reliably. Even things like shotguns are going to be able to hit you very reliably at this kind of range. Because that's how guns are designed. Guns are designed to be shot over a distance. News at 11, everybody. It's... even things like actual military shotguns are not, they're supposed to be things like that. They're supposed to be able to blast somebody. Yeah, they're most designedly for the guy is 5 fucking feet away. But that's called maximum damage. Shotguns actually have decent range. Actual honest god hunting shotguns and things, they have decent range. I think it's a combination of video games, of movies, of things that kind of make us believe shotguns have a range of 10 feet, and after 10 feet, all the bits of the shot, all that thing you just loaded dissipates into nothingness. I don't know, I'm saying can you start sniping with a fucking sawed off? No, but in this kind of situation, you're not using a sawed off shotgun. If someone has a sawed off, it's because they're crouching behind a fucking door and they're gonna pop you one, because that's what they're designed to do. That's kind of the idea behind tactical maps. It's more of a we're putting something here to make life easy, rather than strictly the best possible option, because there really wasn't a best option, unfortunately speaking. There really wasn't. Goodness gracious me. Need to make fun of a mutual of playing the Livonian Order in U4. Oh Jesus. So, what are we doing today? What's the plan for today? Well, we are going to do combat. We are going to do the entirety of combat today. Will I succeed? Maybe. I'm hoping. Praying even, you could say. Because this kind of game, to answer your question finally, Draco, is kind of an odd duck. Because it's both. It is a going to this game. This was what needed to be. This was what needed to occur. It needs to be a, where was it? Overall, where was my notes on it? Is an action horror tactical role playing game. This is what this game is. It's an action horror tactical role playing game with a focus on action. The horror aspect comes more along the lines of deprivation and frantic nature of some of the firefights. It's scary because people are shooting at you. That's the scary part. The scary part is not because it's like, ooh, spooky monsters. It's, oh fuck, we're out of ammo and we're getting surrounded by things that want to devour our flesh. It's that kineticness of it all is what I was trying to get at here. This is why things are going to get really odd, because it needs to be two things at once. And with the goal with combat, the ultimate goal with combat is to make it more, it's an action game and it's ultimately kinetic. I want it, that's the idea of like you are constantly moving forward and you constantly have a, how do I want to word this? It's a constant sense of like things are going on and like you're always making forward progress. Like you getting hit somewhere is something pretty bad. You know, it's like, hey, you getting like you getting popped is a bitch. Like you're not gonna have fun. Mostly down to things like this, where like the normies drop fast, which is majority of people, a majority of actual enemies are going to go down in a single hit because they've been shot by a gun and they are down. You're weird because you can take a few shots because this is an action game, but those few shots are going to stack the fuck up. And you're going to need, it's going to be painful. So the anatomy of a firefight. So combat, when the first cracks, actually when the first shots ring out, it's immediately how do I want? When the first shots ring out, the adrenaline starts to pump fast, and many operators find themselves in the zone. Firefights are dangerous. No one wants to be in one, and are always forced to be a part of. And always forced to be a part of them. A part of them. Breaking down. Let's see. Breaking down a firefight. Breaking down. How do I want to word this? And so the adrenaline starts pumping. It's like firefights are very dangerous. This is what's going to occur. How do I want to word this? Okay. But the most important question persists. How do I hurt someone? How do I hurt someone? Okay. Actually, in Zombie Dark 30, the operators are assumed to be heavily soon to be trained and dangerous individuals tasked with completing a goal no ordinary soldier could. In this situation, the operators are acting as a completing a goal no ordinary soldier could. This is representing their their combat capability rating, CCR. Representing their combat capability rating, CCR, as well as the tangos they are encountering. Hello, phone. What are you working with? HP, wounds, what? We are actually working with a wound system that's a little bit odd, because the idea behind it is, if I scroll all the way up here, each limb has a different number of wounds. So if you get shot in an arm, you're going to take it off that, which is going to be, it's harder to actually do things if you have a bullet in your arm or you have a bullet in your leg. And things get universally harder if you get torso shots, gut shots, or a headshot, which you don't want to get hit. Because one of the big things in this game is damage is like... The best way to think about it is this game is 99% damage avoidance. You do not want to be hit. Which is, I'm kind of basing it off of certain games like, ironically enough, things like Counter-Strike. And games like, a couple of those other multiplayer games, even like Ready or Not. Tarkov is another big example, which is getting shot once or twice is bad. You don't want that to happen. But you also have the advantage of being able to take more shots than the average goon. But not many. You are still going to go down pretty damn fast if you don't have the right equipment on. That's kind of how I want to represent it. It's what I want you to do. The ultimate goal. This is the ultimate goal in my head of what occurs. That the player characters are the ones getting drops on enemies. They're the ones breaching for that extra surge value to get extra actions to start popping people very quickly. But in a prolonged firefight, it's you get behind cover, you start flanking, you start doing things to avoid getting hit. That's when you flashbang. That's when you fucking throw a flashbang in there and hightail it. That's when you start sneaking around and start popping people from behind. The goal is not necessarily to engage in just a bang bang, okay, pop up, bang bang, crouch, bang bang. I don't necessarily want that, because I don't feel that would fit the nature of what's being held here. And there was a very explicit point that the commissioner did not want traditional HP, which I kind of put it in my own thing as not having HP in general. I might put in a system like that, as you kind of see with shock there. Kind of depends on how things go. Shock is just me like, if you take a shit ton of damage right away, you might go into shock. Just like, your body does not like this. Let's see. So, let's see. They represent their combat capability. All the tangos they are encountering. Then we're going to do defense and avoidance. There wasn't anything specific your commissioner asked for, right? Yeah, the commissioner asked for surprisingly little. Here, what I can do. Overall, the commissioner really asked for, this is from the document, it was, fights come down to who runs out of HP first, BSA, kind of like there. The main thing is it has the three-way warfare, human opponents, as well as kind of the zombie fighting, with some mechanics supporting three-way fighting. That is, I think I did that pretty well with the phase system. I'm going to need to write in like some how enemies kind of work. Because one of the ideas is that tangos are going to operate like you. They don't want to die. They're going to get shot once and they're going to go down pretty quickly. However, predators and the horde, they do not operate like that. They don't have surge. They just have a single action they do every round. Or they might have 2-3 actions they do every round. However, they do things in a very specific way. The horde will go to the closest living creature, it will go to the closest living creature they can see. They just make a beeline. or they will shift priority to whoever is covered in blood the most. Pretty much who is ever bleeding or who is ever weakest, they're going to go for immediately. While some predators are going to go after ones that are isolated. They're going to make a movement toward whoever is isolated to attack them. Or they're going to, or something like a tyrant is, they are specifically going to target something that they can see, and they're going to fire every round. They're going to do something to fuck your day up. That's kind of how, what you define as focus and toolbox. Toolbox, like, my usual thing when it comes to focus versus toolbox is, a toolbox is, give me a fantasy game. Give me a horror game. Give me something very broad that it's like there's not really anything really precise to nail down. While focus games are usually when people have an idea. Most commissions I end up getting have been just focused games. Because it's, I want you to represent something. I want you to do this. I want you to adapt this game. I want you to adapt this. When people ask for like a focus game, it's like, I want something very important to kind of take into mind. Toolboxes again would be like, I want a fantasy game. I think the best way to kind of break it up is I want a game that can run any fantasy setting, versus I want a game about Rune Knights from Brigandine. I'm like, cool, Rune Knights from Brigandine, that's going to be a focus one, because I have to go kind of a little bit deeper into very specific things, versus kind of a, here's a couple broad ideas. And armor. Armor's going to be weird, because this guy is actually, he's explicitly said, where some people are firearm autists, he is a body armor autist. That is what he does. So I kind of want to go hardcore on how armor works, which is going to be an important bit in this next section, actually. Which is the idea of defense and avoidance, which is going to be getting shot. Getting shot is the worst outcome. Bullets hurt. Bullets hurt, regardless of how much armor or how tough the operator is. Getting a bullet lodged. Getting a bullet lodged in your gut is a sure way to the infirmary, or being Zed Chow. The main method of survival in ZDT relies heavily on cover, relies heavily on avoidance of getting attacked. Getting attacked mostly by quickly building defense. Let's see, mostly by placing things in front of you to avoid getting shot. Cover is an essential part. Frying ass pan, the frying pan. There might be something akin to it, kind of like more like improv armor. But again, you guys, like, the guys you're playing are like badasses. That's the entire idea. Like, you are Rainbow Six badasses, and you're being a little. This is tactical as fuck. That's kind of the goal. Relies heavily on avoidance of getting attacked, mostly placing things in front of you to avoid getting shot. Cover is an essential part of modern military of combat engagements with firearms, where a single shot can bring anyone down. I want my tactical shotgun. How do I want to word this? So actually, this is represented with with the defense rating. With the defense rating. No, it's not defense rating. We want to do actually no, with the defense defense rating. We'll just call it the DR. The DR of the let's see, of the combatant. The defense rating dictates how difficult it is to actually hit them in their current state. A person standing in an empty room is going to be DR0. They have no defense. And they are by all accounts helpless. Which the idea there is, as long as you score a success, you can hit them, which is not very difficult for you because you have 3 fucking dice you're rolling. In active combat, however, all combatants are assumed to have DR1. The bare minimum of being able to defend them, of being able to avoid getting shot, if only from ducking, weaving, and trying to get to cover. So this is the basic idea of, hey, someone's in the middle of the room, they're looking at me, I see them, they see me, they'll grab their gun, they're obviously aware. I bring up my rifle and I score 1, 2, 3 successes. I nail them. I'm going to shoot them. They're going to get hit. They are out of cover. They are specifically in a situation in which it is easy for me to hit them. You know, they have made themselves exposed. DR1, minimum being avoid getting shot only from ducking, weaving, and trying to get. What's your opinion on military-funded versus space hobo modes? Nani the pizza? What the fuck are you on about? I do not know what you're... What? Usually pretty good at interpreting it. This one's a little bit weird. I don't quite get what question you're asking there, Solid. Trying to get to cover. Everything a combatant does should aid in their attempt at building their defense, at building their DR value. This can should aid Star Trek versus Firefly. When it comes to raw space games, most people really want space hobos. I would say like 95% of people want space hobos, because space hobo is fun. Space hobos are interesting and enjoyable. I'm running a military campaign right now, and it's already kind of difficult. That's its own kind of issues. It's already kind of difficult, simply because like there's a lot of structure to things in the military. This particular one is a little bit, I can kind of get around it simply because you're not strictly in the military. Ever made a game with an HP system similar to that of World of Darkness? Technically, the old version of Monster Girl Encyclopedia actually had that almost 1-for-1. For like the damage types necessarily, I don't believe I have. Don't believe anyway. I might have. I just don't remember it. Everything a combatant does should aid in the attempt of building their DR value. So, yeah, so it's the first thing you should learn a firefight. How to avoid getting shot. Step 1 of learning to survive. Do not get shot. And I'm gonna go over cover a little bit deeper later, but it's like, this is just kind of what this means. This is like your ability to avoid getting hit. This is the defense rating of the combatant. Defense rating dictates how difficult it is to actually hit them in their current state. Building up their DR value. Building up their DR value, which we're then going to enter into heading 4, which heading 4 we should actually switch to Aldrich. Heading 4 to match your 3, which is going to be cover system. When entering a hex, if there is when entering a hex, there should be some kind of cover available for the operator to get behind. Cover falls into three categories. Cover falls into 3 categories. We're going to do obscuring, light, and heavy. Actually, it should be half and full cover. Obscuring cover. Actually, we want to do this. Obscuring cover increases the DR of the operator by 2. Where's the DR of the operator by 2? This is hiding behind foliage. Foliage or any other or any kind of cover which gunshots can still pass through, but the operator is simply more difficult to spot while behind. We do obscuring cover. Half cover increases the DR of the operator by 3. These are half walls and other cover. For other cover, oh god. These are half walls or other cover providing at least 50% coverage of the operator. 50% coverage of the operator. Let's see, providing at least 50% coverage of the operator, allowing them to peek out and fire. All chest high walls are considered to be half cover. Now, 3 doesn't seem very big, but think about it like this. Most enemies that you're going to be fighting are going to be rolling 2d12, and they need to score 3 successes on it. So if I rolled this, I scored 1, 2, 3, 4. That's because I rolled a 9 and an 8. Your average you're going to be actually rolling is going to be about 6 on all of these. So when I say increases by 3, that's quite a bit, actually. Like, you're still at risk of getting hit, but not like a significant amount. Actually, I should do something like this, which brings us to full cover, because that means, at 4, that means you'll technically have to hit 5 successes. Actually, no, we do 3. That means you have 4 successes because you can generate a total of 6. This means you have to generate a total of 3 successes, which even somebody who is not a trained combatant can technically do, but it's a lot harder for them to do. So you say that people prefer to play characters with scraping by instead of overly funded characters. I remember distinctly reading an article about this. It was a long time ago. It kind of stuck with me. The reason why projects and the reason why things such as Firefly were as popular as they were was because you never quite knew if they were going to... Every job felt a little bit more impactful because it's what you're eating. One of the core concepts that, this particular, writer took away was you have to keep the players hungry. You always want them to pursue to do something, because if they don't do the thing, they're not going to want to do it. For example, like one of the main drivers in this current campaign I'm running is the fact that if the players do not do anything, and the current situation persists, they are all going to die. Every single one of them is going to die. It is going to be a catastrophe, because they cannot retreat. So it's like, well, you better, like, they may be overly funded, and they're like, yeah, we can totally do this, but they're also kind of in a desperate situation. And I'm going to have to introduce some of them to when they get to a very certain beat. Like, yeah, there isn't really a retreat option here. Like, there's no option to, like, leave at this point. Even though this is pretty much a suicide operation at this point. Until we can break through their fleet, we can't leave. But we can't break through. You need to keep the players hungry. And I think it's a lot easier to do with that. And now you may be wondering, well, the Star Trek games did pretty well. What's kind of the difference there? Because you're doing a different kind of hunger in games like Star Trek. It's more about the adventure at that point. It's more about, I want to be a Star Trek officer. I want to be Kirk. I want to be Worf. I want to be... It's more the investment of the idea that you are a Star Trek operator and that you are here to, perform the righteous good. You're a good person. You want to save the world. You want to... We need to stop the Klingons from attacking the innocent mining colony. Oh no! That's what you want to do because you're a good person. When it comes to like games and stuff, people 99% of the time probably want to be more mercenary. Because it's fun. Oh, God. Full cover increases the DR of the operator by 5. This means that you have 6. If you are in full cover, enemies are going to have a really hard time hitting you directly. Even you are going to have a pretty hard time because, like, let's say it's going to be 6. I scored, let's see, that's 9. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. I scored 4 successes. I couldn't even hit you. I need to roll effectively with 6 successes, either 12 on 2 dice or like 8 on 3. 8 up on 3. That's very difficult in full cover. Now let's see, increase the DR. These are full walls covering including at least 80% of the operator, allowing them the benefit of cover, while also being protected. All full walls are considered to be full cover. So while it actually the operator is always assumed to be in cover. Always assumed to be in cover in the direction of which they are. let's see. The operators always assume to be in cover when they enter a hex containing it. When they enter a hex containing it. Actually, if the operator is fully obscured, they actually fully behind a wall, actually fully behind cover. Well, if the operator is fully behind cover, such as a wall, then they cannot be hit at all. In which we're going to have to provide a situation, but we're going to put that down here, which we're going to put the idea of wall banging. Certain pieces of cover. Certain cover provides defense more based on the concept of being unable to properly see the being unable to properly see the operator, such as. But some cover provides the cover, but not fully the protection. If a piece of cover is considered quote wall bangable, is considered to be able is flimsy. A piece of cover is flimsy or light enough to be quote wall banged. Then the DR bonus still holds. Then the DR bonus still continues. Still holds. Then the DR bonus is halved. Quote rounding up. So just kind of the idea being like, say, it should be rounding down. So it's like, yeah, you're in a, if it's one of those things, like we can clearly tell, like there's some things there we can shoot through. Actually, if a piece of half or full cover is flimsy and light enough to be wall bang, then DR bonus is reduced by -2. Maybe some dude having a mental breakdown for going to work at a job and playing games like Travel, where you work a job struggling to pay bills. Traveler, fun for everybody. Let's see. Some cover provides. Let's see. Some cover provides the concealment, not fully the protection. If full half cover is flimsy or light enough to be wall banged, the DR is reduced by -2. This does mean that it can be shot through. It can be shot through. Actually, how do I want to word this? Actually, if a half or full cover is flimsy or light enough to be wall bang, the DR is reduced by -2. So that would still be. No, that's not how. No, okay. Here's what I can do. We do a side note. We do side note wall banging. Oh, wall banging. Some cover provides concealment, if not full protection. If the operator makes a judgment call that if the mission control if the mission control makes a judgment that a certain piece of cover it can be actively shot through. Certain piece of cover can be actively shot through, such as paper walls, windows, etc. Then a quote wall, such as paper walls, plaster, etc. Then a wall bang can occur. The operator shoots through the wall, ignoring the base. It shoots through the wall in an attempt to injure a individual behind it. If they are dead on, this reduces the DR of the cover by -2. This reduces the DR of the cover by -2. But if they still fail to hit, actually, I should say DR of the cover. Let's see. This reduces the DR of the cover by -2. But there does require a certain amount of foreknowledge of where an enemy may be, or they might just alert everybody, alert them with no benefit. This is going to be one of those rules where, like, if you want to put it in, you totally can. If you don't want to put it in, then you don't gotta. Because wall banging is kind of a weird concept. Because the idea is solid. It's like, yes, you shoot somebody and they go down. I mean, technically, all covers able to be shot through. It just provides DR. I think the idea behind a wall bang, for those who don't know what wall banging is, it is in some games or even in real life. If you know there is someone behind the wall of plaster, shoot through the wall. Bullets are going to rip through it, and they're going to hit somebody on the other side. Which is why kind of like gunfights in urban settings are actually very dangerous to civilians, because it's going to go through your fucking wall. Like walls are plaster walls are not designed to soak bullets. Which the idea of a wall bang is like, okay, I am confident there's someone there. I'm going to shoot through and then bring them down, or like even shooting through a door, for example. That's why on the vast majority of situations when you see, kind of cops and stuff do a breach and clear, they stack on either side of the door. So if someone shoots through the door, it's not going to hit anybody. There's some guns that don't go through walls. Yeah, there's some. But it's one of those situations where I don't want to provide being like, you've used the correct ammunition of the correct firearm. Ha ha ha. Like I'm trying to avoid full-on gun autism. Because I'm not that insane. Let's see. Hexcontaining operators fully behind cover such as well. They cannot be hit at all. So we understand how that works. What we need to do now is... What I'm going to do is... Going to ground... when cover is unavailable, taking a knee, or going prone is sometimes the best that can occur. When the operator, if they are crouched or they are crouched, then they increase their DR by +1. If they are prone, then they increase their DR by +2. Simply because you're harder to hit. Let's see, actually, of course, being prone or crouched, being crouched or prone makes movement more complicated, reducing their ability to maneuver, reducing their ability to move in combat drastically. Because remember, it's a lot easier to hit the deck than anything. Which it's like, yeah, this is also one of those moments where it's like, yeah, if you are in full cover and you go prone, you aren't going to get hit because you're fully behind fucking cover and on the ground. That's kind of the idea. Watch hard sci-fi, honest question of how avoid walls should getting hold. Yeah, it's wallbanging is as someone who usually got his shit rocked by wallbangers in fucking Rainbow Six Siege. Yeah, I know the fucking feel. So going to ground, so you know, we kind of get the idea of like what I want to do, like really reinforce in this particular section is like you want to avoid getting hit. This is the first thing you can do is avoid getting just struck in general. Because that's going to be the thing that really actually saves you. Let's see, we go into ground. Yeah. Actually, no. Because what we can do there is use kind of like the idea of like, yeah, you want to use cover to avoid getting hit. Like that is like option A. Right now, we're going to explain what cover is before we even explain, shooting somebody, because it's that important. I want it to be very important for people to understand. Like, taking the shot. The enemy getting shot is the best possible outcome. The enemy getting shot is the best possible outcome. So let's do. When the operator is making an attack with a weapon. Actually, when the operator is making an attack. Actually, no. When the operator is making an attack, they will take their CCR plus any bonuses and roll. If they successfully hit or exceed the target's DR, they have hit the target. They have hit them. From here, they must determine the hit location. They must determine the hit location. Let's see. From here, they must determine the hit location of. Let's see. They must determine the hit location of the attack. Actually, no. They don't need to worry about that. Actually, they do. From here, they must determine the hit. They must determine the hit location. Rolling a 1d12, rolling a 1d12 and consulting the following chart. And consulting the following charts. Which we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to insert tables. I'm going to do this for right now. Don't worry, this isn't going to be as autistic as it's kind of sounding, but we need to do hit location, and then we do full cover, half cover, exposed. So hit location, head full cover is going to be a 1 to 2. Half cover is going to be a 1 to 2, and exposed is going to be a 1 to 2 as well. Pretty much on a one. Anytime you roll that dice, if you roll a 1 or a 2, you're going to end up hitting their head, which is actually not a, actually. You can even do something like 1 to 2. Then we need to do right arm. We'll do right arm, left arm, right leg, left leg, torso, gut. Actually, wait, no. Right arm, left arm. Let's see. So let's actually do a little bit of maths behind this. So we have 1d12. So if we do 1, 2 to 5, 6 to 7, 8 to 9, 10 to 11, 12. That's not going to cover literally jack shit. So we do 1, 2 to 5. We do 2 to 4, 5 to 6, actually 5 to 7, 8 to 9, 10 to 11. No, that's not going to work either. Fuck me. Okay. 3 to 4, 5 to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Because you're going to be aiming for center of mass primarily. You're aiming for the center. You have a pretty good range about just about anywhere top of center. That means your arms and stuff. You're not really going to hit the left or the right leg until you're making like a dedicated shot for it. And half cover, your legs are protected. Your legs are protected. However, your torso is... This is you kind of popping up to shoot. Your torso, your gut, would your gut be protected under half cover? I guess your gut would be protected under half cover because the entire idea is that like your lower half is. So your gut is protected. So they would be like 2 to 6, 7 to 10, 11, like 7, 9. Actually 7, 8, 9. 10, 11, 12. So, yeah, so... I'm rolling to hit someone exposed. 1, right to the fucking noggin. I'm rolling again. I rolled a 6, so I would hit you in the gut. If you were just completely standing there, half cover wise, I rolled a 10. I hit you in the left arm. This one starts getting a little bit weird. So you have torso, which means you're going to have 2 to 6 primarily. That's going to be your big one. Your gut's protected. Your legs are protected. Because your legs are actually very important because it turns out getting shot in the fucking leg is kind of a problem. This is you peeking out behind a wall and taking a shot. You can get shot. Your right arms, though, how I'm going to do this is going to be 7 to 12. 7 to 12. So we're going to put a footnote here is whichever Whichever arm is currently exposed will be the one getting shot. So you pretty much list, like if you're facing from the, if you pull out, it's your arm on the outside. That's what's going to be actually being able to get hit because it's getting grazed. That's when you pull out, you shoot. So we need to make a hit, for example. Probably say like here's like a differently marked die. Actually, I should say that. Ideally possess differently colored or specifically. Hello, phone. What do you fucking want? Hello. What do you want? Hello. What do you need? Hello. Moshi moshi. Moshi moshi-san. Yeah, please. I love you to death, Mom, but I'm kind of busy right now. That just means I gotta get shit done fast tomorrow. Yeah. So you think like 1 to 3. So that would be like 4 to 6. So if I do that, we do like, I would say like 1 to 2. That means like 3 to 6. Kind of like the idea of like, I don't want people getting immediately like their head blown off. But like full cover is like, this is like the only thing you're really getting shot with. So I think that probably works. Let's see. Ideally having a different color, specifically marked D12 rolled alongside the CCR to speed this along. Tango, when a tango is hit as well, to speed it along, skip this step. There we go. Certain mutants or Zeds may have special parts or additional locations to aim and hit. If that is the case, then replace the if that is the case, replace it, make it a possibility when striking the torso, when striking a location nearby. This is specifically for like, it's kind of hard to tell because every monster is going to be a little bit different, but it's like, hey, on their right arm is actually a gigantic blade, for example. So when you hit their fucking right arm, it's you hitting that giant blade. When striking a location nearby. Taking a shot. Okay, we've established what this is all about. What about blind firing from cover? Blind firing from cover? That's going to be something I'm going to have to just kind of think about. Probably after this section, I'll put it as a side note. Just like, here's this blind fire. Like, you're not really hitting anything in particular. It's more about providing just like, please get the fuck down. I am shooting at you. Bullet hurt. Bullet scary. Let's see. Certain means an additional location to aim. That can't make it possible striking the location nearby. If a tyrant has a arm blade, if Tyrant has a arm blade. Replace the right arm option. Replace the right arm option with the arm blade option. Characters without a limb obviously cannot be hit on that limb. Replace any strike with any attack hitting that location to the chest, to the torso instead. Pretty much, I don't have a leg. I'm getting shot at. It would hit my left leg normally. It's instead going to hit me in the chest. That's kind of how it is. The best way to, like, how I would want this to go, let's see, I have my green dice over here and my red dice for my 2 hit. Like, okay, I'm going to hit this insurgent and go jingle, jangle, jingle, jangle, jingle, jangle. So I roll a 4 and I score, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I score 4 successes. Let's say he's exposed. I rolled a 4. I rolled a 4. I'd hit him dead in the chest. Bang bang, he's got hit right in the chest. Let's see. So that's fine. That's kind of like how it is. And like this one roll, you've determined quite a bit of things. That's fine. That's kind of how I want things to feel, to kind of give a little bit more speed to things. Let's see. So cool. Now we get to do. We've taken the shot. We need to, let's see, calculate. Calculate damage. So a connection has been made, and the attack directly hits the target. What now? When a firearm successfully strikes a target, we need to actually do something real quick when it comes to body armor. Actually, no, we don't. When firearm successfully strikes a target, they apply their lethality. They apply their lethality rating. They would apply their lethality rating to the location. When firearm successfully strikes, they apply their lethality rating to the location in straight wounds. If the target is a tango, a standard human enemy, actually, if the target is a standard human enemy, standard Z, a standard Z, or standard Z, they die immediately. They go down immediately if they take any wounds. If the strike is somewhere delicate, head, torso, gut, etc., then they are suffering from ruin in that location immediately. Which is to say, they're dying. I have been shot, you have whipped around, insurgent man, whips around, you pop him, you shoot him directly in the head. He's dropped. He's on the fucking ground. He's dead instantly. He's just dead on the ground. You shot the man with a gun. Not even like a kind of a con, like. My idea with blind firing is because I feel like I want to put in a suppression mechanic, kind of like a light method to be like, you are making sure they cannot move. In exchange, you are kind of making sure that you're not getting hit, but you're just like shooting blindly. You're not really hitting them. Suffering from Ruin would be a rad bad name. Suffering from Ruin would be like the third album from a mediocre metal band.
named like death metal, or like named more accurately named like, I don't know, like cockmangler or stuff or something.
Hey everyone, I'm Cockmangler. Welcome to our album tour. Separate from room. I'd watch it. I'd do it.
Have them all be in their 30s. It'd be great. And the location immediately. Location is straight wounds. Yeah, so this does mean like if you don't have like a helmet on or something like that, you're gonna go down pretty fucking fast. We want to do body armor, modern body armor. This is where things start getting a little bit autistic. Modern body armor. Basic IBA, most vital organs from injury, and the Kevlar helmet protects the head. Body armor. Tell me more about body armor. Modern non-metallics, late modern use. Bulletproof vest. Oh, Jesus. This is where things started getting a little bit... Body armor, TTRPG. Filters damage along the armor's hit points overall. Usually when players get hit, body armor takes the blow. A small amount of health is damage. Unreal Tournament 2 lower armor, thigh pads, body armor, and shield belt. How do you carry these kind of game body stars? Reduce damage upon health and some special attributes. How do I want to do this? All right, everybody, this is the fun part. Sappy played gunshot. Got to comment on the video. Thanks, Will. Oh, Jesus Christ almighty. Why couldn't he be autistic about something else? Why couldn't he be autistic about, like, anything else other than fucking guns? Okay. This comes the first part. This is what I like. Yeah, this is where it's like, how do you represent this kind of idea of getting hit, of getting shot? Knives and other weapons. Different rating systems protecting his blade or piercing weapons. Typically, protective clothing is designed protecting his bullets or knives, but not both. Look, let's see here. So, performance tests. So, armor type 2A. These are mostly when it comes down to this. So, I don't want to do. Did actually say that we're optional. Nah, man. We're doing this. We got to make it right. Mostly because the big idea here, this is the big idea when it comes to the body armor, is I want it to feel a little bit important. And mostly because if I can get the body armor to work properly,
this is the idea. If I can get the body armor to work properly, I can apply it to different ideas with things like, hey, you're fighting against an enemy, like something trying to bite you, for example. It's like, yeah, this thing's trying to bite you. Your armor is going to let you just bite into it, and it's like you're going to be relatively protected from it for at least some time. So let me say everything. A after is a flexible vest. What the fuck is a flexible vest? Let's see, company different levels, rating, NIJ certified ratings. Summarize, most simple US standard is claiming to be bulletproof or bullet resistant is managed by the National Institute of Justice. Yeah, standardization popular industry standard for many foreign countries. When you purchase armor product, realize it has some certified by the NIJ or just rated. They don't actually have an NIJ certificate. Make sure you know and trust where their rating testing took place, and they have documentation from a reputable laboratory. Expensive, and that's why they don't go through the full process. But I should be aware, however, that there may be little to no regulation over companies that claim to only have their projects meet NIJ standards. Caliber, so we're looking at 7.62 reliably. Shots per panel, like a 7.62, like standard issue stuff. That means you're probably going to be able to take like about 4. So yeah, you aren't really, you need 4 panels to break through. So each panel is going to be able to kind of soft levels 2A and 3A, where they can be made rigid fiberglass like construction. Kevlar fabric hybrid. Shot through submachine Uzis and Mac 10s. 12 gauge shot, every type and up to 44 Magnum caliber. Hard armor and heavier, bulky will stop rifle rounds at the low for the highest possible protection against 30 caliber rifles. Let's see. So yeah, luckily we're not doing too hardcore ammo autism. I don't want to do that hardcore ammo autism. That's kind of like if I was making Ace Combat Squad, if I was making aces, I might do that, but I'm not making aces. Let me guess. Let me do some actual flexible. Actually, let's do a little bit of research. When in doubt, let's do some research. Otherwise known as I need to find where I have the right PDF for modernish ops and tactics, not advanced arms, core rulebook, 6th edition. Hello, ops and tactics. We will go over ops and tactics one day. Unfortunately, ops and tactics is a fucking autistic nightmare, and it's very difficult to actually go through because it is it's gear autism. That's like 95% of it. It's very you want spear feats? Yep, here's spear feats because he's got fucking feats in this game. Like, oh, sweet Jesus. This is what ops and tactics is. To give you an idea, it's about 200 pages of about 150 pages of quite literally just. Let's see, impromptu item, provide protection. With the tactical armor on bottom, it fits over clothing, can't be easily. Its weight and bulk make it practical to wear at all time. Generally, only dawn a specific dangerous confrontation is likely. Armor penalty, maximum CP loss. damage reduction. Place an armor either by being built in, placed in a mole attachment to increase effectiveness. Trauma plates made from Kevlar, which increases the DR. You know, when and because like what I was thinking about doing is this is what I was thinking about doing. It's kind of the idea like you have the you have the basic armor in place, because I don't think one of the big things is like going in a tank suit isn't really going to be super practical. Like this is you are still operator badasses in a situation. So it's like going in with like a full tank suit isn't the most like plausible situation. I know already to be like plausible situation, Notepad. This is already kind of stupid. Like, yeah, I know. Bear with me here. Like, what I was thinking about doing is something like your basic armor is going to have your base DR on it. That's going to be, you take a certain, you know, you've got shot, you know, you're going to take a little bit of, you know, you're going to reduce damage. It's not going to be a lot, and that's what's going to be like. I was thinking about having like a pen rating, being like, if you have like if you have like, you know, you have like level 3 body armor, normal, like a normal handgun isn't going to pierce you. That's the entire idea. It's not going to be able to pierce. Like, you are relatively protected from it for now. However, you know, it's kind of like, you're good, but not like super good. And you're still most likely going to get shot in the fucking head. While certain other ones are like, you're just reducing the amount of damage possibly done. What I was thinking, like, kind of like a base DR, and then you have things like, again, like plates, for example. Plates can be subbed in for, you know, either additional DR or kind of like a blade of armor. In a way, being like, you've taken a hit, your sappy, you know, this sappy plate is now kind of rendered useless. You toss it away, it's done its job, kind of thing. Like, you've added onto it. It's kind of like, again, a blade of armor in that way. That was kind of the back and forth on this one, just because of how the nature of this is. You don't have HP or anything, obviously, so even like a single hit's gonna be pretty gnarly. Even like the idea of like the helmets, like you're going to take a hit on your helmet and it's only going to have a certain number of like, you can take about 3 hits on your helmet before it's going to fucking pop off. It's mostly a game right now how I want to word everything. Actually, here's what we can do. We like our basic armor. So here's what we can do. Our basic armor is going to be broken down into tactical vests, and then we have full armor. Your basic full armor. Full armor has higher, you know, it's kind of has higher DR, but obviously is a little bit less higher DR, higher like a pen rating. Higher DR, higher pen rating. So you're not going to be taking as much damage, but it's like you're just kind of moving slower. Like there has to be a penalty of some kind for wearing like super heavy armor. Tactical vests have lower DR, lower pen rating, but no penalty. So it's kind of a back and forth in that regard. I don't know what I do with this. I just want to make it raw DR. DR is the easiest. That's the idea. Like, DR is the absolute easiest to do.
But. Let's see. They will take. Actually, no, we do, they will apply their damage rating to the location and straight wounds. They will fuck. Gun goes up, you take the shot. He's wearing good torso armor. You hit him dead in the torso. He is wearing appropriate, he's wearing appropriate armor kind of thing. He's wearing the right tier of armor. He's going to be able to take the blow. You're not going to pen. Excellent. Let's see. The weapon can penetrate. They will determine if the weapon can penetrate. Penetrate by comparing the weapon pen value, penetration value PV, penetration value against the armor rating. And just immediately, can the weapon pen? That's it. I have a 9mm. I shoot you with a fucking level 3 vest on. You're not. Yeah, it's not going to go through. However, I'm usually probably not just going to be shooting you there. It's like, yeah, I've hit you in the fucking leg. So let's see. Determine the weapon by comparing the weapon's penetration value against the armor rating. If the penetration is higher, they will deal lethality minus armor rate. They'll do lethality minus protection rating. Actually, yeah, they'll do lethality minus protection in wounds. Protection is never going to be high. It's going to be like in 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, lethality is usually going to be pretty high, which should work. Again, we will use this as kind of a temporary. We'll use this as a temporary solution. And we still want things to go relatively fast. And again, no one's really going to be wearing like super heavy armor. Enemies are going to be wearing super heavy armor. You are not. You're going to be dealing with like armor that's useful, but not like going to like super protect you from like high caliber weapons. Actually, you know what we can. Door kickers, body armor. Mobility exchange for single point improvement, inferior round armor, good all round armor, not sacrificing too much speed, razor vest, and the front plate only armor. This should be your shield armor until you unlock extend protection. Better chance against gunfire and signs of ambush who bear low pistol caliber weapons. Low threat armor. No armor for gamers. Protects against long careers. That's always the funniest one.
Yeah, exactly. A fancy anti-rifle plate really doesn't help you. Yeah, okay. If the penetration is higher, they will deal lethality, minus protection in wound. Armor is... So actually what we can do for a vast majority of them, luckily enough, what we can do, we're gonna open... I can open Miro to do this, haha! So, we will apply what I like to refer to as, here's example man. Here's example man. He's got legs, and that's arms. He's got this, and we can roughly say that his body is split up like this. This is roughly what a human body is going to look like. You're going to have a helmet. We do know for a fact you're going to have a helmet. We know for a fact body armor is roughly going to cover here. And I do want some, like, yeah, if you're like real tactical and you're kind of going into hot zones, like, yeah, you can get like armor pretty reliably. But it's like, yeah, it's kind of slowing you down. You know, things are going wrong. But like, that's why your legs are actually very exposed, because your legs aren't going to really have any kind of serious armor on them. So it's like, you getting shot in the fucking knee is a very valid problem. And that's also why it's, you know, probably the easiest to avoid getting hit. And I would probably, armor options, I'd probably provide, like, yeah, you can just get like a torso plate only to like, or like, hey, you want to be a tactical badass, you don't really need to get any armor and just kind of go in there like, you know, like this, or with just this. But what we can probably do is, if the target has trauma plate, it wouldn't be trauma plates, it would be ballistic plates. Yeah. If the target has ballistic, if the target has if the combatant has a plate, they may burn the plate for extra protection. So it's pretty much, I have 3 plates in my body, my armor is going to take it, but it's going to, like, I'm going to have to burn a plate to do it. Actually, no, that we can explain that a little bit later on, but it's like, that's what's going to happen. And then we can probably do like lethality plus something. So kind of randomize some of the damage a little bit, being like a handgun might, for example, do might have a lethality rating of 3 plus D3, which is just a D12, considered it. Be like, if I rolled an 11, I would have done 3 plus 3 damage. My penetration value isn't high enough. It ain't going through regardless. Yeah, cool. Let me just calculate its damage. Actually, Zeds and mutated bioweapons may have a base armor / protection rating. May have a base armor / protection rating in all parts. Shoot the exposed section. The exposed sections. Shoot the weak areas to actually injure and stop these mega threats. I'm bringing my handgun out to shoot the tyrant. Cool, you do fucking nothing because it's a tyrant and it's not gonna die. And actually, this is kind of like calculate basic, calculate damage. What I should make is, now, mind you, we haven't even gotten to actions or anything like that, mind you. This is what I meant by, like, this is a little bit autistic, but we need to get things just right. Melee combat. While the ancient art of hand-to-hand combat is far from dead,
In the modern world, in the modern era, it's now considered a last resort. If the operator finds themselves in melee combat, they will roll their CCR versus the opposing combatants CCR. They roll their CCR versus the opposing combatant CCR. Whoever, if the attacker scores more successes, they will deal wounds. They will deal damage to the. They will be actually. How do I want to word this? Actually, if the attacker is successful in the opposed check, then they will deal damage as appropriate. Deal damage as appropriate. If the defender is successful, they may choose to either deal damage or deal no damage. When two targets are grappling one another, they make an opposed athletics check. They make an opposed athletics check to break out of the hold, or they will suffer a minor wound. Yeah. Break out of the hold, or something bad will most likely occur. Held targets reduce their CCR by 1. Actually, held targets reduce their CCR by 2 against melee attacks by their grappler. So basic idea is pretty simple. I've jumped on top of you. I'm operator man. I jump on top of this guy who's CCR2. I managed to grapple him. It's an opposed athletics check. I managed to grab him. He can't do anything. His CCR is 0. He still technically is able to roll it. Again, he treats it as 0 skill. So he's able to roll a d12 and score. He scores 1 success. I'm going to roll my 3d12 and see how well do I do my damage. Oh, I rolled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 successes, and I stab him 3 times in the chest. He's probably not going to wake up from that. Like, melee combat's kind of dangerous simply because it's... Yeah, simply because it's that. Yeah, I hate grappling rules. The only game that I did, like, really hardcore grappling rules with was the game dedicated to grappling rules. But anytime I go over a game and I see the grappling rules, I always see how long they are, because they're usually incredibly long. But let's see. We want to defend ourselves against attacking. We learned about cover. We learned about going to ground. We learned about taking the shot. We learned what happens when you do get hit by a shot. We learned how to calculate damage properly. We're learning about melee combat. What else do we need? We do not need anything. Actually, I don't believe we need anything. I believe that's good enough. I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, wait, suppression. Suppressive fire. The concept of suppressive fire is simple. Lock down an area to keep an enemy in a location while allies move up unopposed. If a
If a operator opts to provide covering fire. If an operator opts to provide covering fire, then they will prevent an enemy from moving, or they will take an attack, or they will take damage without needing to roll. So basic idea is I'm supplying suppressive fire. You roll, you jump out, you fire blindly, and you've hit. If you don't need to do anything, because it's not hard to do suppressive fire. There's a problem over there. Bang, 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 bang. You're not moving, and if you try to break out of the suppression, you're going to get hit. You're going to like, bang, I've taken a shot to my shoulder, something bad has happened. You don't want to move. And that's why suppressive fire against you is kind of dangerous, because you're not moving, but you can still like retaliate. You still popping your head out, taking a shot real fast. If a operator wishes to blind fire, they make a CCR check. They make a CCR check against the opponent's current DR. Against the target's current DR. They are successful. Let's see if they are successful. Then they are suppressed. If they fail, they are not. However, the operator is safe to move. However, the operator is safe from retaliate. There we go. It's kind of like you're making a check. It could be kind of hard. Is there any rules for TNT? No, but you did remind me I should put in 2 rules, actually. There's 2 rules I need to put in. We need to do grenades. When a grenade or other explosive is thrown, they will have a detonation range. Any individual caught in the area will be affected by the grenade's effect. Will be affected by the grenade. Now, whether that's a flashbang or a it's a flashbang or a fragmentation grenade, very different. Any individual caught in the air will be affected by the grenade. Grenades and explosives. Actually, grenades, I should say, and chunky salsa. In rare situations, a tango or operator may find themselves in a sticky situation involving explosives or any other kind of heavily dangerous situation. If this situation does occur, the chunky salsa rule applies. the chunky salsa rules apply. Lies. What is this? What is this rule? What is this rule? Simply put, if the tango would be logically reduced to chunky salsa, logically be reduced to quote chunky salsa due to the blast of the explosive, they are dead. They are dead. No damage needs to be calculated. There we go. Thank you for reminding me about the chunky salsa rule. For those who don't know where the chunky salsa rule initially came from, it was actually in Shadowrun. With the very basic concept of if someone throws a grenade down a vent and the runner is in the vent, even by sheer technicality, you should roll for damage. You don't roll for damage. They're chunky salsa. They've been reduced to nothing. They are dead. DEA dead. That's one of the big things. That's like a kind of a big concept in this particular idea. Some games have it. I just kind of want to emphasize the fact, like, yes, if you do get truly well and truly fucked up, like, yeah, you're just kind of fucked. Like, there's no real coming back from that kid. Like, nor do I want there to be like even an idea that you can come back from it. It's like, yeah, you're just kind of dead. So, actions and tactical combat. Okay, we've done it, everybody. We've gotten through how to hit people with a gun. This may seem complicated, but really all it boils down to is, what's their DR? You roll, do you generate enough hits to hit them? If you do, you make sure you know where you're hitting. I rolled a 6. Do they now have a chunky salsa checkbox? Chunky salsa apply. The chunky salsa rule is, affectionately speaking, the person has been annihilated. There's nothing there anymore. That's really what it is. If you get hit by an RPG, you're not alive anymore. If a zombie gets hit by an RPG, unless it's like a gigantic thing explicitly stated to be like, this thing can withstand, very heavy fire, it's not dead. Like, it's probably dead. That's kind of the idea of the chunky salsa rule. It's a band-aid rule to make sure that I don't need to roll grenade damage if, like, by all metrics, you're dead. Like, I've also called this the it's one of those things where it's, I usually argue that I call it the slit throat rule in some other games, which is, if somebody says, by all accounts, if somebody says, hey, do not advance further, I will slit this man's throat. I've held a hostage, I will slit the man's throat with my dagger. In all accordance and all, basic logic, one of the things is that dagger is really only going to do 1d4 plus his strength modifier on damage. So he should be rolling 1d4 damage, and there's a potential that he will not kill this person. That's ridiculous. No, he's going to get hit. He's like, something bad is going to happen. You're going to have a bad time. Yeah, sure. I meant like a zombie can live without a head or such. That's not really the idea of chunky salsa. That's kind of under the purview. Chunky salsa is literally, you've been reduced to fucking nothing. That's the idea. Like, there's nothing left or any possibility of such. When it comes to like avert damage, most zombies go down in a single hit. That's kind of the basic idea. But they might not have heads, but then I have a rule being like, yeah, if they don't have a limb, they go straight to the torso. Which, like, oh no, the zombie doesn't have a head. Bank. Yeah, where he's like, bang, okay, yeah, he's gone. He's no longer among us. When it comes to bigger and scarier enemies, it's like, oh cool, we blew off his arm. Why isn't he dead? Why isn't he dead? Everybody run! Fuck! Like that's kind of the idea. Like it's more explicitly in not spemple ways. Don't read too much into this rule. That's what I'm trying to get at here. Don't read too much into it. So when the fight kicks off, every character, every combatant will have a series of actions they can perform on their turn. Depending on the surge value, I should say, depending on the surge value of the operator, they may have multiple major actions to perform at once. Let's see. Breaking these down, there are four kinds of actions. There are four kinds of actions. Our first one are major actions. Major actions are the most common. These are the dedicated maneuvers, choices, and attacks performed by a combatant in the round. Multiple major actions are possible, and even having no major actions are possible. Because remember, every time you want to calculate how many major actions you potentially have, you roll a d12. I rolled a 6. I add my CCR of 3, so I have a value of 9. I could have 2 major actions for effectively 8 of my surge, so I go on surge 1, or I could have 1 action and then I'm going to be operating on surge 5, or I can have 0 actions and I'll enact first. Did you cover impaling strikes? Not really worrying too much about like little niche rules like that. Like impaling stuff is like, what would you even put down? Like, yeah, you can impale someone. Cool. Yeah. Choo-choo. This isn't really a melee game. That's the idea. Like, the melee rules are not supposed to cover many things. They're like very simple. This is mostly a gun game about gun kata. Even having no major actions is possible. Minor actions. A minor action is a single how do I want to word this? Not single action, but like single act. Any combatant can perform even if they have no major actions. These allow operators and tangos to move around the field, get into cover, and even potentially protect themselves from an oncoming threat. Finally, a free action is something which can be performed by any character, by any operator, or be performed by any tango or operator or tango, I should say.
operator or tango at any point in the round. At any point in the round, even when it's not their turn. However, only one free action may be used per round. So it's kind of the idea of major actions are like big things. A minor action is pretty much your turn being able to do something. They aren't big, but they kind of allow you to at least do something. Finally, a free action is kind of also a reaction, but it's also kind of like your ability to do things. The most amount of actions a character can potentially perform on their turn at once. At the kind of like the starting game with no major perks or anything. They roll a 12. That means they're going to have 15. That would be 3 major actions, 1 minor action, and 1 free action. You know there's going to be that one guy who wants a sword. Imagine unironically not having 3 pages of swimming rules with difficulty tables. I'm not Varg. One guy who wants a sword. This is still supposed to be relatively, relatively operator tier. If I'm going to do that, it's literally going to be like, yeah, you can bring a fucking large melee weapon. That's what it's going to be. It's not really going to be anything more exciting than that. Only 1 free action may be used per round. Okay. It's their turn or not. One of their turn or not. And then we do heading 2. No, we do heading 3. Heading 3. Major actions. Call me Major Action. Yeah, gamers. Okay, so what's our basic major actions going to be? Let's really think about this. Let's really think about our major actions. So obviously we need an attack of some kind. This is just you choosing to attack a target. I want to shoot at this person doing a thing. I want a maneuver. I want to move. This is your active move ability. We'll call interact. I think interact is always important. Use item, which is actually we'll use major. Use large item. So let's think. What are we really doing? What are we really operating as? We're attacking. We're maneuvering. We're interacting. Using a large item. What other actions can you really perform? I'm trying to think of actions and stuff you're actively doing. Oh, I know what we can do. Reload, which I'm gonna have to talk about reloading. What I should do is talk about reloading up top. I might do that after this. So attack, maneuver, interact, use large item. Reload. Actually, no, not reload. Reload would be a minor action. Actually, change position. Change standing. Yeah, there we go. Actually, I should say stand. Yes. What am I missing? What's up with the viewer count? What do you mean? I see 6 viewers. I mean, that's kind of weird, but everyone currently in here is someone who relatively should be in here.
Unless something's completely broken. If something's completely fucking broken, then like PM it to me, I'll see. Apparently people just enjoy me like having a schizophrenic meltdown. I don't know why. I find it odd. Like oh my god, I need it. Get a fucking ping and it turns out it's a waffle maker. Oh my god, I need it. I need it. So, okay, so attack, maneuver, interact, use large item, stand, which is pretty much you standing up. I'm trying to think of... Actually, convert. We could actually do minor action. So, minor action. So you can just convert things into a minor action as well. So, okay. So we'll do, these are our major actions. We don't need a lot of actions. We just need dedicated actions, which we're going to break down into, we'll use just attack. Attack. The operator takes aim or let's see, takes aim or makes a strike at a target of their choice. They will roll their CCR versus the target's defense rating. Target's DR in attempt. In the target's DR, in their target's defense. Actually, no, D in versus the target's DR. If they are successful, they will check penetration. They'll check penetration and then apply wounds as appropriate. And they will apply wounds as appropriate. Not very complicated. Again, it's putting the pieces, the pieces on the board kind of thing, which we're going to then follow this up immediately with maneuver. Maneuver, which is the operator makes a dedicated movement with the movement across a series of hexes. Across a series of hexes equal to their attribute. Let me scroll all the way up here a little bit just to double check, because of course we're going to reference their attribute ratings, their attribute grade, their motorics. So their motorics attribute. Let's see. Equal to their motorics. Their motorics attribute. Make a makes a dedicated movement across a series of hexes equal to their motorics attribute. So because we're referencing that, we go all the way back up here. We select probably attribute, grade, and description. We use this chart. You can also tell Google Docs is not having a fun time because it's doing the silly things where it shouldn't really be doing, but it's doing it anyway because God hates it. We reduce the size down. Don't need any of this, luckily. We can shrink all the things down, which would be hex movement. Can we do something like this? Yes. Motorix grade. We do this, we move. So we want the absolute minimum. 3, and then we do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Would that work? No, we do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So even if you have an A, you can move 6 tiles. You can effectively move 30 feet. Just dead sprint with all your gear and all your shit on. But if you may be wondering, wow, that doesn't seem like very far. This is also moving 30 feet, doing an attack, and diving for cover. This is like pretty impressive. Like average people can move about 20 feet and then do everything else. Like there's zombie animals, zombie grizzly bears. The lore that I use in the book is the concept of Lazarium. Lazarium is effectively a bioweapon that is used almost exclusively for the concept of, well, we want to, it's a pretty much a bioweapon people inject into you, and you pretty much develop mutations because you die and you come back to life. Could in theory you could have a zombie grizzly bear? Yes, you could in theory have a zombie grizzly bear. That's totally fine. This isn't really supposed to be dedicated to a particular setting in mind. There's some basic assumptions, but like I actually don't really mention Lazarium at all, except in some of the examples. Like, yeah, here's Lazarium. I didn't feel that was super appropriate. I didn't feel like it was like super necessary, because everyone's gonna want to do something slightly different with this kind of game. Like I want to obey basic Resident Evil logic. Zombies do not sprint in Resident Evil. But somebody else may want, I want sprinters. Someone else may want this. You could argue, doesn't all flesh must be eaten already do that? Yeah, but does the commissioner give you an idea of the lore they wanted? They had some basic ideas. They had some concepts in there of like kind of what they were looking for. So I kind of took the basic ideas of what they were looking for and kind of worked with it. Again, it's a sample setting. It's a placeholder setting. It's a setting present to justify naming conventions. Pretty much, it's like, yes, you're part of White River Technicals. Like, don't worry about it too much. I'm probably going to put an image right here of an example of how maneuvering works. Of like, yeah, you can maneuver a certain number of tile across equal to their, actually makes a dedicated movement across a series of hexes up to their motorix attributes grade. Okay, pretty standard stuff. We slap an image right there. We make it nice and pretty. Then we use the interact. The combatant uses, operates, or in general interacts with a piece of the environment to allow them to the environment. Combat uses, operates, or generally interacts with a piece of the environment. Larger pieces of equipment or more complex interactions may require a check or multiple actions taking place during this time. Or multiple interactions or interact actions. I would say interact actions. Then we use large item. The combatant uses a piece of equipment. They have on them, which is considered large or unwieldy.
What would be a good? What would be a good? Oh yeah. Radio equipment. Like radio equipment. Helmet HUDs. What would be some other good ones? Trying to think of this, like a large piece of something on your back kind of thing. The best way to think about this is like, I think the best way to think about it is this isn't using a grenade. Grenade is you flick it out and then you toss the grenade and it's that. This is like in Rainbow Six Siege, this would be like using your gadget, like some people's gadgets. Like this is something you're dedicated putting down. Like this is something that it does take a second for you to deploy. Actually, sledgehammers, radio equipment, sledgehammers, or okay, yeah, no, that's a good something. Actually, how does inches under map-based movement work outside something like Roll20? It doesn't. It works a little bit awkwardly. As a general rule of thumb, if it takes, as a general rule of thumb, if it takes 2 hands, it's probably a large item. And that leads us to stand. The combatant stands from a crouched or stand. Actually, the combatant stands from a crouched or prone position. Croucher stands from a crouched or prone position. It's far easier to get down than it is to get back up. Then we have a minor action, which we're going to call perform a minor action. The combatant converts their major action into a minor action they may perform, following the rules of such. There we go. Very simple. And then we do this, in which we click here, we change this to minor action. To answer your question a little bit, we use Foundry. I've used it for like a few things on like VT, like on tabletop sim. The basic idea works. Things like Roll20 fight you a little bit because they want you to use the grid. Like the grid is what they assume to be default. Like that's something like we've been kind of fighting with Foundry for a little bit, actually. What I've been fighting with anyway, because my entire play group loves Foundry. I hate Foundry. I think it's stupid. Not a big fan of Foundry. Very simple, very annoying though. But like if you can finagle it, it works. I think one of the big issues with Roll20 is that I am a tabletop sim guy. Is that since it assumes the grid, it wants to operate everything off the grid, and getting those really precise movements is a little bit more difficult simply because it's just 2D. And you're just looking down rather than... That's one of the advantages of like tabletop sim, for example, is that I could put down like a little 6-inch like marker and I could move. That's what I did quite a bit for when I was testing out Project Sidewinder. So it's been a while since I used Roll20. Admittedly, I'm going to say that right now. It's been a long while since I've used Roll20. Simply because it's...
Damn, am I that fuzzy? Didn't think I was that fuzzy. Damn. 451 fucking followers. Oh my goodness, it hurts being this amazing. Give me 1 second. I gotta get this one. Gotta photographic evidence. Photographic evidence. Yeah, it should be fine. Uso just might have toned his down a little bit to save some internet because he has 8,000 fucking tabs open. Close your damn tabs, man. Why do you have that many tabs open? No man needs that many tabs open. No one does. So minor actions. So we have major actions. Then we move into minor actions. So what are some minor actions? Minor actions everyone can always perform. What I'm going to say is you can do a maneuver. Actually, not a maneuver. We're going to say you can do a move. Actually, you can do a move. You can so we're going to say go to ground. You can go to ground. You can reload. You can reload a weapon. So I'm moving around. Moving is literally going to be 3 hexes. That's all it is. Like that's you. You're flat-footed. That's you sprinting 15. That's you kind of dashing in one direction. Actually, it'd be just 2 hexes. Go to ground, which is take a knee, aim. You know that's kind of take a knee or go prone. Like you can just choose whichever one you want. Go immediately to ground. Reload again. We reload our weapon. We then do a what else do we do as a minor action? Actually, use small item. Use a small item. We'll call it a simple interaction. Making a suppression attack. This is you just opening fire. Like you're not aiming or anything. You're just like, everything in that general area must die. You're not trying to hit anybody though. That's one of the big things with suppression attacks. You don't actually hurt anybody. Let's see. Go to ground, reload, use small item, simple interaction, suppression attack. What am I looking at? What am I looking at? What am I looking at? I can see it in my noggin. Actually, no. We need to make a joke about. No, that's really it. It's not too much to actually think about for like minor actions. I maximum have like 8 tabs open, and that's on a good day. Like that's a severe thing for me to have like 8 tabs open. That's when I'm like doing a lot of things at once. I actually quickly repositions themselves. They move 2 hexes. The operator chooses to. Actually, the combatant actively repositions themselves. reposition, actively repositions. They move two hexes. No, they move two hexes. This does not change based off of the motorics attribute score attributes grade. This does not change based off anything. Based on the so it's just always going to be 2, with the idea being like this is just a quick step more than anything. This is you like stepping to do something or something like that. So the combatant. The combatant chooses to crouch or go prone. Chooses to crouch or go prone. Chooses to crouch or go prone. This confers the DR benefit in addition to the X of being in the ground. Then this confers the DR benefit as well as the quote narrative advantages of being lower to the ground. Which then brings us to loading. Loads their current let's see. The combatant reloads their current weapon. Reloads current weapon in their hand. Reloads their current weapon in their hands. How do you people fucking function? Why? You don't. Nobody needs that many tabs open. How do you don't keep track of any of those tabs? You're not keeping track of 100 tabs. That's not like that's not happening. Let's see, unless they're like the same tab repeatedly opening. Let's see. The combatant reloads their current weapon in their hands. Yeah, see if I wanted to be. Actually, I know what I can do. This is a little. Actually, this is going to be a little bit pedantic, but standard reloads current weapon in their hands, replacing the magazine on their belt. Standard reloads their current weapon. Bat reloads their current weapon with the standard reload speed, as well as any weapon with a any weapon with a magazine. So it would be any weapon with a magazine has the magazine replaced, placed back on the actually no, we're not doing that. No, bad notepad. It's 12:30. You're thinking bad things. Reloads the current weapon. Standard reloads their current weapon with fresh ammunition. Actually, if the combatants have empty magazines, they may actually, if the combatant wishes, they can reload with half empty magazines. This is going to be actually a fairly important mechanic right here, based off of the idea of deprivation. You hurt me. You all hurt me. Every single one of you. God, why are you all the way you are? So use small item. Use a small item in there, such as a grenade. Use a small item in their possession, such as a grenade automatic, by quickly throwing it at. A basic rule of thumb is that if it is one-handed, it is most likely a small item. I want to throw my knife at somebody. You're using a small item. You go, just tossing a fucking knife at somebody. Or I want to throw the grenade. You throw the grenade out real fast. Probably not going to be the best option in the world, but you can. Okay, so I want to get this particular I just want to get this part done. Simple interaction. The combatant. You can tell I'm getting weird. I'm slowing down now. The combatant interacts with a small object such as a switch what do I end up calling it? Actually, here's what I can do is we'll do major interact actions. We'll call this a minor interaction. Interacts with an object on the battlefield, which is simple to perform, which is simple to do. Let's see. Combatant interacts with an object on the battlefield, which is simple to do, such as a door switch or hatch. If you want to open a door, it's going to be a minor interaction. That is you opening the door and doing that. If you want to flick a switch, it's flick the switch real fast. But it's kind of one of those things you still have to apply a little bit of mental little things. Look at it, flick the switch, or look at the door, open the door. There's still a little bit of like mental maths that has to go on to it. Not much, but just enough to justify it. Which brings up to suppression attack. The combatant with a firearm. The firearm chooses to inflict suppression on a single target within sight. The idea here being that you are just kind of opening fire on the closest thing you can see. There is an issue, there is a problem, there is a person I want to shoot. We're going to shoot at this. This is a combination of any perk or weapon effect that affects suppression. Will still apply to this. Actually, no. Actually, let's see. The suppressed target maneuver. Should this maneuver or move, they will take damage. Very simple, minor interaction. Requiring mental thought or time to perform it without the necessary time commitment. Yeah. I bring in which I want to do the free actions. Free actions are pretty simple. We're going to call this the wiggle. Nah, not the wiggle, the step. Takes a quick step to the side, moving 1 hex. Moving one hex. This does not trigger suppression. This does not trigger suppression. Suppression damage. This does not trigger suppression damage. This is you taking just a step in one direction. This is kind of representing people are like moving around pretty actively still in combat. Did I forget to mention that I'm going to eventually go back through my internet history all the way back to 2019 due to lost tabs? That's physically painful. You physically hurt me. So change to sidearm. The combatant quickly draws a sidearm. Quickly draws a sidearm. Switching to your sidearm is always faster than reloading. Snapshot. The combatant roll is that -2 CC. Combatant rolls a -2 CCR. Rolls at -2 CCR. Quickly trying to make a quick snapshot at an exposed enemy. At an exposed enemy. If the combatant has 0 CCR, they will be considered to have a zero skill, rolling one action die, which can only score 1 success. Okay. Yeah, people open incognito tabs for research. Yeah, no worry. Okay. I'm gonna call it there for today. Because I'm tired. I got shit I gotta do tonight too. I gotta write the script for tomorrow's, by the way. Yeah, today was supposed to be equipment autism. That didn't get done. That didn't get done at all. Yeah, this is probably gonna spill over into Monday. So I think we made pretty damn good progress, all things considering. So I'm going to call it here. And the main goal, probably what I'm going to try to do for Friday, we're going to really start working on equipment. That's going to be kind of the goal there. And then next Monday, we'll do advancement, specializations, things like enemies of the state, things like that. That's kind of going to be the plan. So, thank you all for watching. My name is Notepad Anon. Have a wonderful rest of the night. I will see you all on Friday, hopefully. Most likely I'll see you tomorrow as well, because tomorrow we're going to probably do a Dewong stream as I try to finish up Kizunite. And don't forget, on Friday, we're going to be going over the curious case of Maho Shoujo games, which is probably not going to be a very long stream because all the games I've been currently going over are very short. Kind of weird in their own right. So, thank you all for watching. Goodbye. Good luck. I'll see you all on the flip side.